another episode of Horror Movie Night on this spooky Thursday the 12th. But tomorrow's the big day. So we're talking about a Friday the 13th movie, Friday the 13th V, A New Beginning. I personally put this just below Jason Lives for one of my favorite of the Friday the 13th movies, and I'll get into that. I wrote a shit ton of notes while watching this, and I took the time to watch the 40-minute segment about this movie in the Crystal Lake Memories documentary as well, to get a little behind the scenes on the making of this movie. So we can start, we'll start there, I guess, maybe is like, how did this movie happen? Because, woo!
This was a first time watch for me, so anything that you can enlighten me upon is great. Also, that this is the center of this Tommy Jarvis thing that I still don't know anything about. So just any light that you can shine upon this would be great for me.
We're gonna do.
It was my first and last watch, by the way.
Was that your first too?
Yeah, it was fucking terrible.
So this is going to be like a very quick Friday the 13th 101 breakdown. So. The timeline of Friday the 13th is very interesting. You have the first movie that comes out in 1980, and as far as we know, it exists in 1980. Then the second movie comes out in 1981, and that exists 1 year after the Friday the 13th movie. The reason I'm mentioning this is because Friday the 13th 2, 3, and 4 all happen on the same day.
Which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's all one continuous singular day story.
Murder day.
And in part 4, you introduce Tommy Jarvis, played by Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman wanted to reprise his role in this movie, but he unfortunately couldn't do this movie because he was doing some unheard of Spielberg movie called The Goonies at the time. But like Corey Feldman has said multiple times, I still would have rather done this movie over The Goonies because he likes horror movies so much more than like the PG kids movies that he did.
Listen, his bank account thanks him for doing.
I am certainly sure. But this movie, by jumping ahead 5 years, has now like brought the franchise back to the actual time that the movie's coming out now. So this is in 1985, and it takes place in 1985 because we jumped up those 5 years. Anyway, part 4 was the final Friday. It promised the end of Jason, and then that movie made a shit ton of money, and the people who owned the Friday the 13th name said, well, fuck, we definitely need to make another one. But what their idea was, all right, we're going to make this movie, and the concept of this movie is that we are going to break Tommy Jarvis, and Tommy will become the new Jason for our new like version of this franchise. And from this point on, it's going to be Tommy in the mask, and the fans are going to love it, and it's going to be great. And since it's not Jason, we're going to totally change it up with a style as well. So where previously all of the directors had been like dudes with a horror background, they brought in a guy who basically just did porn. They were like, this is a porn director. He's like one of the sleaziest guys we've ever met. He's going to up the sleaze on this movie. And
for 4?
For 5, for the movie that we just watched.
Okay.
And man, did he come and sleaze this movie up.
Did he come?
So here's the thing. There's a couple contradictory statements that I've read about this movie. Now, there are half the cast who swear that this was the best time that they've ever had, that like working with this director was a breeze, and that they loved everything about it. There are other people in the cast who said that he was an absolute nightmare to work with, that he was just coked up and impossible to talk to, and that like all he cared about when it came to casting the women was how big were their boobs for the nude scenes. And he would go with whoever had the biggest boob for the nude scene versus who was the best actress for the nude scenes.
I was going to ask if there was a pattern to the people who might not have liked their directing style.
Yes.
Does it have so there are two ways that this could have gone. Is it boob size predicts how much fun they had?
I'm sure.
Or is it having boobs proposes how little fun you had? Because like literally every woman except for Pam showed her boobs. Well, and the mom.
So that was the irony, I think, was that the actress who played Pam felt like it was a miserable experience. The actress who played Tina, I know the actor who played Junior, and the actress who played his mom, Ethel, and I believe Like one or two other cast members loved working with this director.
Wait, so the mom loved working with the director?
Yeah, the mother loved.
It shows.
Yeah,
That tracks. Because she's the best part of this movie.
She's like, so here's the thing. His argument was that the way he shot this movie, they said that there's a scene. So there's a scene where Tina and Eddie are in the woods, and it is like they apparently shot what was basically a 5-minute softcore porno with the two of them. And the story,
what are those things called where they cover their bits?
Oh yeah, the
Merkins.
I'm pretty sure that she was, and he was.
She was a former porn star. He hired her for that for two reasons. A, she was a former porn star. B, her last name was Voorhees, and he thought that was the most charming thing in the world.
In real life.
In real life, her last name was Voorhees, and he's
what
like,
are the odds?
He's like, how would I not cast her? So here's where it's like some of the contradictory stories are, though. So they're filming this porn scene, and
literally,
and the producer and the editor are there, and the editor looks at the producer and is like, how are we going to put this into the movie? And the producer told him, edit it like it's a Pepsi commercial. And that's why that scene is so quick. Like, it's like there's like no sex at all. Like the actor who played Eddie in Crystal Lake Memories is like, I seem like a 10-second man in this movie because I just like take off my shirt and then I'm done. Like it's so
I
quick.
Figured they had a really good time because he had to go wash off in the lake, or in the stream. But the thing is, I was like, girl, you better go pee or else you're gonna get a UTI. But I guess it doesn't matter because you're gonna be fucking dead in 5 minutes.
You're gonna be dead in 5. So here's where the problems lie. In the director's mind, which he didn't share with apparently anybody, was his brilliant idea was we're going to film some graphic sex scenes and we're going to film them so that when the MPAA reviews this movie, we can cut those and keep the gore. But because the editor was told by the producer to trim down all the nudity, they had to lose a lot of the gore instead.
That explains half of the deaths in the third act.
Yeah, like he lost so much of the gore because they said that this was one of, and you can tell in the deaths that you do see, one of the things I like about this movie is it is brutal. Like the fucking road flare in the mouth is like one of the most brutal kills I've ever seen.
I think that of the Friday the 13th movies, that might be one of the most horrific ways to go.
Oh, 1,000%. I even think with with Eddie and Tina, like the garden shears through the eyes and then the extra element of clipping it and then the belt around the dude's head crushing his skull.
Worse.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
And they said that was they had built a skull to be collapsed, and that was something that they had to drop. Like
that footage
I can see the MPAA in, what was this, 88?
They had to submit it 9 times to get an R rating. And he's like, every time they would give us the notes on what to trim, we'd trim all of it, and they would still be like, not good enough, and cut like more out of the movie to like.
It feels like the MPAA was like on this sort of like.
This is 85. This was the peak 85, of MPAA neutering horror movies. So that's the quick behind the scenes breakdown. There's a couple of interesting things after this movie as well, both tied to the actress who played Tina. So like I said, she had done a little bit of porn in the past. Her last name was Voorhees. She ended up getting fired years later as a teacher because boys in the school connected her name to the movie and started sharing the scene from the movie with other boys. And the school just was like, sorry, you're fired. Like this kind of undermines. Yeah. And she's like, I don't regret what I did. Like, this is stupid. Like, I did a movie when I was a teenager, like whatever. But she went on to make a movie that I watched the trailer for and I want to check out that came out 2 years ago. Never heard of this, called 13 Fanboy. And it is a movie of her. Yeah. It's her and a bunch of other people from the Friday the 13th franchise. And it's about an obsessed Friday the 13th fan who's kidnapping and killing cast members, recreating their death scenes from the movies. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is a fun idea for a slasher movie, actually. Right. And she said that she did it because, like, with all of the controversy around who owns Friday the 13th, she's like, we'll probably never get an actual Jason Voorhees movie ever again. So this was, like, her attempt at trying to, like, give the fans something. And based on just the trailer, it looks like it's shot way better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be some like straight to video garbage, but it actually looks like they put a budget behind this thing.
I remember seeing that poster float around. Actually,
I think I actually saw maybe a teaser trailer of it, because I don't think I saw a full trailer. What was the Friday the 13th fan film that actually has Roy in it?
Never Hike Alone.
Never Hike
Alone at the end?
Yeah, and one of the actors from Never Hike Alone is in 13 Fanboy. Like, she even included them into it, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. And actually, Debbie Sue Voorhees is in a different cut of Never Hike Alone.
There you go.
Yeah,
she
all
really
those
loves
people are
being
connected,
part of this fan base, honestly. She seems like she's very fun and cool.
Well, that's nice. I fucking hate Friday the 13th. Like this. I do. I am having a hard time finding any love for this franchise. And it's not true. Not any love. But particularly anything like Jason-oriented on. I have a real hard time finding any love for it.
No, I
Didn't
understand
you pick Freddy
fully.
versus Jason?
I did. But, no, and that was a time capsule for me.
Which one would you rather rewatch after rewatching both of them in the span of a month?
Oh, I think I would watch New Beginning again. And I was telling Matt beforehand. I just felt like I allowed my like general dislike for the franchise maybe cloud a little bit of this initial viewing, and I started doing other stuff, and but I when I came into the ending and was finding out that it was like, well, as we find out, he's not Jason, and like he's this other, there's this like copycat thing. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But like and it does feel like a porno. Now that you said that, like
it's because it's shot like vignettes.
It's shot. Yeah. Yes.
Well,
and
so
like,
that was
oh
the other
God.
thing. The director said that there was only 2 notes that he was given from the producers when making this movie. Note number 1 was you have to turn Tommy evil by the end of the movie. Which they ended up recanting anyway when they did Jason Lives, because the fans were so pissed. But the second note, and I knew about this note. This was the first time I watched this knowing this note. They said there must be a death every 8 to 10 minutes. And that
explains so much.
Wow.
Because there are so many extraneous characters that are literally just added to be murdered.
This had the highest death count for years until Jason Goes to Hell. But
Jason Goes to Hell is a parody.
Like Jason Goes to Hell barely counts as a movie.
It's a parody.
Yeah, but this movie, I really like this movie, and I think that I like this movie because where Friday the 13th, I think the biggest strike against Friday the 13th is that is a franchise of just a repetitive trope over and over and over again. Like, if you've seen one Jason movie, you've seen every Jason movie. Like, they don't do a lot of unique stuff. So the fact that this movie pissed off so many people, I'm like, yeah, but it's the same reason why I like Jason Lives. Like, those 2 movies, I feel like tried something different with the source material. In this case, doing a little bit more of a whodunit with the movie, and then with Jason Lives being like a full-blown meta comedy. But I think that this is the first one out of those, like, I mean, we're going to do more of these, unfortunately, guys. I hate to tell you. There's more Friday the 13th movies from the 80s
okay.
we
I
have
need
to
to
watch.
It can only go up from here.
Yeah.
I did see.
As
I think
far
they
as
head
horror
down.
movie night goes.
Yeah. Oh,
No.
Yeah.
Well, so Kyle, you're in luck. We've already done Jason Takes Manhattan. That movie is not good either. But this movie,
I watched
he watched it with me on a live stream.
okay.
We've done we've done the
the
later half. We've done Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason Goes to Hell, and Freddy versus Jason. I think we've all agreed that we probably. I mean, I can't say there's a never say never attitude with us for sure. But Jason X is so fucking low on my want to ever watch again list.
But the thing is that I feel like we owe it to the listeners.
We do, and
that's why I did Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah,
because it was an anniversary.
No, you did that for you.
You never.
You just
I'm
said
selfless.
it's a nostalgia. But listen, okay, I just got to get this off my chest. I actively disliked this entire watch, except for Junior's mom. This movie felt very unfun. I knew that it was Roy, but it was also my first watch, so I was literally just watching for the kills. It just felt so unfun to me, and I just was not having a good time. And so I'm really glad that it's not just me, because Matt has been talking this movie up for 12 years at this point.
It's been
to
a
me.
long time. Well, and I used to hate it. This used to be my least favorite.
This
Friday
will not
13th.
this will not become Freddy's Revenge for me. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I don't
I
think it
used to
will.
talk shit on Freddy's Revenge, and then I watched it with an open mind in my adulthood, and I was like, oh, I fucking get it. This movie, like, even after you've explained it to me, I get it. I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And I think that there are parts of this movie that I really, really like. I love the opening sequence, not the nightmare. I actually like the title, like the credits, the title idea of like, it says Friday the 13th, and then this hockey mask blows the words the fuck up. And then it's like, it's the Friday the 13th theme, but it's like this chaotic sound of strings that are just like going nuts. I'm like, this might be my favorite music that starts off any of the Friday the 13th movies because it's so chaotic and insane. I love Junior and Ethel. Like, I think that those two characters are
But they
so
make no
outrageous.
sense. That's the thing is every character makes no sense. I mean, and I love that John is here in the Podfather is here in spirit because of the damn enchiladas.
Oh yeah, I mean we'll get into Demon because Demon. Kyle just smiled. What do you got over there?
I was waiting for
hoping-
somebody to say damn enchiladas. So
I actually had a feeling that was going to be your theme.
Did you? Did you?
Yeah.
So I have a chips and salsa sour beer.
Oh my god!
from
Does it actually
Tops.
taste like chips and salsa? Does it taste like tomato and
So-
lime and?
There's mango, hot peppers, key lime, lime zest, tortilla chips, and sea salt. And
Okay.
it
I
fucking
need
does.
to
It's
try
crazy.
that.
I
Yeah.
know. If I can get any more at any point in time, I will.
Creature
I will
feature.
Get this for
yeah,
you.
save that for
I
creature
will.
feature.
And I
Absolutely.
have zombie dust from Three Floyds, not because I
Yes!
like it. There's a story here. I mean, zombie dust is fine. My original was a collaboration between. Oh, I took a picture of it because it was drank by somebody else. It was a collaboration, I believe, with Sweetwater. Or no,
Oh, yeah.
it was a Sweetwater beer, but it was 420 strain, and then it was G13 IPA. And I was like, okay, I got it, guys. Like, I got this 13. It was not F13, it was G13 because this is the new beginning. I thought it was so fucking clever. And then we had some house guests, and Megan took the one out to the beer fridge, and I was like, yeah, whatever they want is fine. And I was like, fuck, the first thing they picked was my fucking beer for this week. And so I was like, ugh, God, find something else. So, yeah, Three Floyds Zombie Dust, because there's a point where they say, the one sheriff or whatever is like, small town, supposed to be easy living here. The only thing that you got of Michael Myers, I keep wanting to say Michael Myers. The only thing you got of Jason Voorhees is some dust. And
Yeah.
so it was supposed to be zombie dust because
Zombie dust.
in the good movie, which is Jason Lives, which is there's no argument. It is the
It's
greatest
the best movie.
Friday the
Is the
13th.
is the greatest Friday the 13th movie ever made.
It's fun. He's a zombie killing machine, and nothing matters.
No.
So that's my story as far as my drink
Admittedly,
goes.
that's
And don't expect, listeners, do not expect this much backstory with the drink pick ever again because
No.
it was only because of a snafu.
Only because it's not. Okay, so let me run down a few quick things because, man, I didn't expect us to go 22 minutes already on this movie.
Listeners need this.
Junior
They need
Junior
this.
and Ethel, I love Junior's death, riding around on a motorcycle, screaming, and
wanna
then
see
getting
the cut.
decapitated. So that was the other thing. He said that one of the notes from the MPA was the amount of bounces the head was allowed to have, which was only one.
One bounce.
One
Damn.
bounce. He's like, they
It's
were
the same
he's
as the
like,
boobs in this movie, guys.
Yeah,
This
just-
is only one bounce.
One
allowed.
bounce.
So speaking of boobs, let's go to the waitress at the diner.
So weird.
She
No
has
one
the-
gets ready like that.
She has the iconic line where she throws open her shirt and yells, "It's showtime." And she explains in the documentary as well that right before that scene, she had went out to the movies to see All That Jazz. And every single time the character that Roy Schneider, I almost said Rob Schneider. The character that Roy
I
Schneider
wish.
the character that Roy Schneider plays who's basically Bob Fosse, anytime he's like coming fresh off a Coke bid and she looked in the mirror and went, "It's showtime," like right before the high kicked. And she's like, what if I just said that? Like, she's like, it's already dumb that I'm getting changed in this bathroom. Like, let's just camp it up. And the director was like, fucking love it. Let's do it.
The other best
Also
thing
coked
about
up.
this movie, oh yeah, can I read my favorite line from this movie?
Yes.
It is the other guy that took Tommy to the house, whatever, and he goes, and the forecast is cloudy in the mountains, sunny in the valleys, and snow flurries up your nose. It really, out of context, so great. But when you're watching this, you're just trying to cling to anything to make it fun, and that's why I enjoyed it so much.
I mean, things that I clung to that made it fun. We were talking about road flare and the mouth guy. Mm-hmm. Two random ass greasers, no explanation for their existence.
I like in Jason Lives when you get the people that are on the work retreat that are playing paintball get murdered, because it's just like Jason is a killing machine and will literally annihilate any human he comes across once he's reanimated. Well, I mean, probably
Roy. So the Roy thing makes no sense to me, because
why would he kill them? It's all revenge.
Here's what it comes down to that I think is so funny, right? So Roy's switch that flips is that his son was Joey, the kid who gets chopped up by Vic, right? That means that the only person besides Tommy and Pam that survives Roy's massacre is
the person
Vic.
that started. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Holy shit.
So
we don't know that he may have been killed off camera.
That's true.
Because
that
Roy
could have been
took
the
him
case.
to the. No, Roy was the.
He was just the paramedic. He took the body.
Okay,
So
okay,
Vic is almost definitely still alive and fine.
Maybe he was like, I'll take care of him later because I know he's locked up.
Also, this is the last thing that I'll reference to the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, but the actor who played one of the greasers says that throughout his life, as he goes to conventions, so many people come up to him because they appreciate the representation in the movie, because he's like, I guess they just assumed that we were two gay men.
Boyfriends?
He's like, that was not how it was written, but he's like, I'll go with it if that's if that's what your interpretation
you buy an autograph?
Sure.
I'll say anything for $20, you know?
Yeah, 100%. We got two more scenes I want to talk about, and then we can wrap this up. We mentioned it very briefly, but our boy from Return of the Living Dead shows up as Demon, and he's there, and he's eating some enchiladas, and then the iconic line where he just goes, "Oh, damn enchiladas," and he runs to the outhouse. That's not even the baffling part. The baffling part to me is the "Ooh, baby, baby" singing sequence
with his girlfriend while he's taking his shit.
Which, I mean, I will post it on our Facebook page. Go and find our Facebook page, Horror Movie Night Podcast. I do have a video of me and that actor doing the "Ooh, baby, baby" at Pop Rockin' Horror together. It was shot specifically for Jonathan London. It's his favorite moment in any Friday the 13th movie.
He has a low bar.
He does. One of my favorite moments in any Friday the 13th movie also appears in this movie, which is the baffling decision that the gothy punk girl is doing the robot to some like random ass poppy new wave music. It is just such a bizarre combination of visuals happening at once.
I was scrolling on Instagram and there was like a nostalgia page or whatever, and they posted that one of those, it's not Time Life, but one of those compilation CDs where they're like, best punk or whatever. Yeah. And like they didn't but did you send it to us?
Oh,
actually,
it is one of the most referenced punk.
Yes.
Yeah, it is one of the most referenced things on our
show. My
friend.
Okay. So yes, where they play the second song is "Don't Dream It's Over."
Who could it be now?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. It was like this character was written with somebody who has no idea.
Yeah, he's an ex-porn director or a paused porn director, who's high on a mountain of coke.
So this was the last movie he ever made. Unfortunately, this was the last movie he ever made. It was very profitable. They wanted him to make a lot of, he had 3 or 4 other offers on the table. And then apparently he got in a really bad motorcycle accident. And while he didn't die in that accident, it took him like 6 years to like fully recover. Like he was like became like a reclusive person because of that. And then it was just, the sad true world of Hollywood is like, if you're at the top, you've got about a year tops to like cash in on that to continue having a career, or you are just old forgotten news.
I didn't realize he did Savage Streets though.
Yeah,
that's on my long list for Patreon.
Yeah, he did 2 other movies before this, but this was his last one.
Hi, friends. The world got you down. Don't be sad. Listen to $2 Late Fee with Zach and Dustin.
$2 Late Fee is the podcast that celebrates the best decade of entertainment, the 1980s. We pick a movie and soundtrack from our youth that we loved and see if it holds up today. We also interview your favorite celebrities from that era.
All in the spirit of positivity and togetherness. Check us out at $2latefee.com.
Guys, we gave a solid 30 minutes to Friday the 13th 5. I appreciate you guys giving me that time. And as a
it was for you, Matt.
Yeah,
really.
and as a thank you, I'm gonna hold my double feature to last, even though normally it would be given to me.
No, don't be a martyr.
Don't
be a martyr.
I've
got like 7 options. I got 7 options. So Kyle, you go for it.
We're very conservative here. And we need you. We need things to be like they've always been. So you're going first. Sorry.
All right. Here's what I'm going to go with then. After you guys go, I'll say what I had originally written down before I changed my mind. I'm going to go with The Prowler. I feel like this is another movie in the same vein as The Prowler.
That would save the night.
Where it's way more about the kills than any element of plot whatsoever. And
Prowler. It's also kind of a whodunit. I love that. That would be great. That would definitely save the night. Kyle?
Fight to Break the Dawn.
Oh my God!
Ethel reminded me a lot of moms from Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, so we're watching that after this.
Perfect.
Yeah. I had to go. Well, by the way, the woman who played Pam, spitting image for Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
Looks exactly fucking like Kristen Bell. So the entire time I'm watching it, I'm like, I want to watch Kristen Bell do a chainsaw fight. And so all I could think about was a chainsaw fight, and so TCM2 is my way of saving the night.
There you go. The other thing I wrote down was that at one point my double feature was going to be Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and or Halloween 3, because I want this movie to be reanalyzed and loved by the fans more than they ever will. But that's not going to happen.
Sorry, Matt.
Square peg, round hole, dude.
I know.
It's gonna work.
All right, so this is the newest segment in our show, which is just a little ad break that we're calling What's Going On? Not to be confused with the Marvin Gaye song.
You went with Marvin Gaye?
Yeah.
Not, and I said, hey.
Look, I'll change it up. It'll be a different song.
Just dropped a version.
Yeah, Dolly
of that,
Parton
dude.
just covered that with
Real
Linda
good.
Perry, and it sounds pretty good. Just here to remind you, we already mentioned a few times, visit our Patreon, patreon.com/HMN podcast. You become a member of our Slack chat. You get early episodes. You get bonus episodes. You get a newsletter, and you get to see videos where you see our faces. So there's really no reason not to hop over to our Patreon and check that out. And just a reminder, we mentioned this last week, but if you go on our website, HMN Podcast, and click into the store for the month of October only, we are doing a scare package for, I think we landed on $40. For $40, we will send you a shirt and some other cool swag. Most likely, we're talking about, while supplies last anyway, keychain, enamel pin, bar of soap, maybe something extra, maybe a book, maybe a DVD. We'll see. Music. It'll be a nice little package. All you need to do is let us know your shirt size, and in the notes, let us know if there are any horror movie night shirts that you already own, so that we don't send you a duplicate. And that is the end of the What's Going On side of the show. And now it's time for the What Did We Watch This Week? And this is very exciting for me to say. It'll be a little bit late at the time that people are hearing this. The strike is not over, but an end is officially in sight. At the time that we're recording this, just 48 hours ago, the Writers Guild reached a tentative agreement, which hopefully will mean that the actors will also be hitting an agreement as well very, very soon. So I think that it's pretty much safe for us to like lift our embargo, especially given that this is going to come out a couple weeks after that anyway. So, finally at last we can talk about whatever we want. And since we're such traditionalists and I have to go first, I will go first here. Two quick things that I wanted to promote. Discovered a new podcast the other day, binged all of the available episodes, called Search Engine. It's from PJ of the Reply All podcast. The concept of the podcast is that people write in with questions that they have always had but could never find the answers for, and he finds an expert that can sit down with him and give him the answer to that. Episode topics range from, are the monkeys sad at the zoo, to why do people continue to buy diamonds, to why can't I figure out how many people watch Stranger Things on Netflix, and various other weird questions. But it's been a really entertaining, well done podcast. The Stranger Things one, actually, the person who wrote in with the question was Maya Hawke from Stranger Things.
What?
She wanted to know why she can't see how many people have watched the show that she's on.
Well, that's a question for Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. So it was very interesting to do the deep dives of that. And the other thing I have, shout out to Eli and also these guys. Eli gave me a DVD the other day from his tattoo artist. His tattoo artist made a film called Heebie Jeebie TV. And I had zero intentions of ever talking about this on the podcast because my expectation whenever anybody gives me a copy of a movie that their friend made is this is going to be bad. But I put it in and I was very delightfully pleased for what is a film that they made for $12,000. The movie looks great. It's very much in the same vein as a WNUF Halloween special type vein where it is a cable box that people buy. It's basically like WNUF meets Stay Tuned. You get this weird cable box that just gives you fucked up horror TV stations, and it's like just you enjoying about an hour and 10 minutes of the type of shows that are on this cable box. So you're getting like fucked up advertisements for bizarre toys, a couple minutes of like a TV show or a movie that's playing on the channels, and then it's bouncing between the different people who are watching it as they are like being kind of maybe possessed by watching these channels. But for a cheap little movie, it was a fucking delight. I believe that this comes out on the 12th. On the 13th, I'm pretty sure the movie is premiering on Screambox. So
Nice.
if you have a subscription
Very
to Screambox, go watch it this Friday. It's a pretty good October watch.
Back when, Carly was pregnant, we started trying to watch all of Disney's theatrical releases chronologically. And, like, we had Hunter and we stopped doing that promptly because, like, why would we do that? However, caught back up, and obviously they're not all on Disney Plus or easily accessible, right? So, like, especially the ones from, like, the mid-'60s that were not very tasteful representations of certain people groups.
However, before Disney went woke.
Yeah, but back before they were woke and we could talk about the Native Americans the way they were supposed to be talked about. I don't mean that at all.
Don't
Please,
take it out of context,
no,
people.
if you know me now. If you don't know,
thank you. I didn't want to sing it.
I watched The Moon Spinners, which is one with Haley Mills, and it's 2 hours long. Haley Mills and her mom go to Greece, and then they meet up with somebody, and there's like espionage, and there's like this sort of like who is the bad guy who like there's like it's. Honestly, it's batshit insane. I was watching it and I was like, I cannot believe that there's this like action thriller with Haley Mills.
Haley Mills as James Bond? Is that
dude?
Kind of what
well, and like she's like she's still like a high schooler, maybe like early college, and I still don't quite know what was happening. The Moon Spinners is some sort of like folklore in that village. I don't even know what the Moon Spinners is, but there's like people getting like shot and like chased and like people falling off of windmills and like it was kind of crazy to me. I don't know if it's a recommend. It was the one that came. Is the one that came before Mary Poppins as far as our list went. But I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd.
All right.
I had a lot of fun watching it. I wish I remembered more of it, but we had to watch it over 2 nights because 2 hours for a movie sometimes is too long.
So Kyle, I don't think the listeners even knew about this. So when we were trying to figure out what Patreon content would look like with Brian, one of the things Brian wanted to do was Disney Plus had just come out, and he wanted us to watch those like Buena Vista weird ass fucking movies like The Cat from Outer Space or like the football kicking donkey for like what
The Cat from Outer Space?
What? How is that within that? You didn't even have to stretch your arm to get. Listeners, Kyle is sitting at his desk. He literally doesn't even fully extend his arm, and he picks up the novelization of The
From
Cat
my
from
view,
Outer
it looked like he
Space.
picked it right off of Tommy Jervis's desk. Yeah, I think that there is a lot of charm in some of those completely forgotten 60s live-action Disney movies, like The Computer That Wore Tennis Shoes and shit like that.
Oh, no, there's... And especially, like, even some of the ones with, like, because Kurt Russell was basically a child star in some of those. And he did so many of them.
I mean, he's supposedly... The rumor has always been that Walt Disney's dying words were Kurt Russell. And Kurt Russell to this day is like, don't know why that's the case, but sure.
But maybe.
But it was the last thing he had written on his desk. Like, I guess he was like coming up with a movie idea and had written down. He wanted to do another movie with Kurt Russell, and his last note that they found on his desk said Kurt Russell with nothing else. He never completed his thought. Like, it was like, oh, come in the office tomorrow and finish what I was writing down.
Is it like the end? You know, like the pen fucking goes down and he keels over.
Shit.
You're
It's
like,
like that
Kurt
Monty
Russell doesn't have
Python
10
joke
Ls.
where it's like
Yeah.
the monster of Og. It looks like he died while he was writing it. Well, he wouldn't write out the word as he was dying.
That joke has been redone in the internet age with Candlejack, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a very short review and then another very short review. So first short review, I watched Talk to Me and hated every second of it. It was not fun, and it really just signifies this dour, negative kind of horror that seems very popular right now. I don't know if it's Gen Z filmmakers or if it's millennial filmmakers that are just feeling the N-way of late-stage capitalism, but it's just a really dark fucking movie, and there's no one likable in it. So I didn't like Talk to Me, but I am 3 episodes into Midnight Mass. I know I'm way late to the party.
You're
but
way
Flanagan's
behind on Midnight Mass, but Midnight Mass is great.
I didn't watch it because I'm ex-Catholic, and I was like, I don't need to relive that trauma.
Yeah.
But then Jordan from Camp Nightmare shared some post that showed the fucking vampire in it, and I was like, what is this from? And I was like, Midnight Mass is a vampire show? Holy shit. And so I started watching it. You know, I still hate Mike Flanagan's pacing.
Yeah.
It makes me want to pull my eyes out and bite my nails off because I don't like TV show pacing, first of all, because it feels very indulgent. And Mike Flanagan's stuff, I mean, Midnight Club had the exact same problem, but I'm like slogging through because I understand that it's important. And I really loved, because I hate AA, because it replaces your alcoholism with the need for a higher power. I've talked about it before. I also live in the hometown of AA, like the birthplace of AA. So
Dr. Bob!
Yeah, Dr. Bob's house was literally on the same block as I practiced death metal for like 8 years.
Shit.
And so we could never have band practice when it was Founders Weekend. Super fucking annoying. But anyway, the argument between the alcoholic and the priest was great. I'm very nervous, though, that what's going to happen is that he finds religion because he fights a vampire. Don't tell me I'll get there.
I won't say anything.
I'm apprehensive about the show, but
look,
I'm loving it so far.
Let me tell you something real quick, and this is also going to be a shameless plug for one of my podcasts.
What?
If-
You?
What? Yeah.
If you hate TV pacing, be thankful that it's TV in 2023 when it's only 8 episodes, because slogging through 27 episode seasons of the OC where you're like, well, this story could have been 1 episode, but you've done it over 5. Like, television in general, I am all for the shorter season. I am all for the, like,
Oh, yeah.
tell me the
Get to the
story in
fucking
10
point.
episodes.
But I mean, also when you're watching, it's the meme, that's the joke. It's like, do you want to watch one 8-hour movie? And you're like, fuck no, I don't want to watch an 8-hour movie. They're like, well, why don't you watch binge 8 episodes at an hour long a piece? And you're like, fuck yeah, sure. It's the same idea as like, do you want to eat a block of cheese? No, I don't. Do you want to eat 6 mozzarella sticks in a row? Sure, why not?
But the
It's
thing
like,
that
it's just
baffles
you
me,
piecing mealing it out.
I've said this before too, though. The thing that baffles me is the reverse of that too, where you have like a perfectly fine like true crime doc that could just be a singular movie, but for some reason
1.5 hours.
it's like it's either 2 45-minute episodes or 3 40-minute episodes, and I'm like, why do
Why?
you not just make this like
You don't
singular...
need a cliffhanger when it's already getting dropped on Netflix the same day, you know?
Yeah, like, exactly. So yeah, everything's wrong with the world when it comes to pacing.
I'll tell you what about pacing though. Megan has gotten. We were on a couple road trips last month, and she started making me listen to the Dateline podcast, and it's really, really good.
Those types of podcasts, like another season of Serial came out a couple months ago, and I'm like, Serial does these 10 episodes that they drop at once, but they're like 25, 30 minutes long, and they leave you on just a tasty enough cliffhanger that you're just like, fuck, I gotta listen to the next episode.
Yeah,
right
you're like,
now.
I guess I've got to do another errand.
I did. I was driving home from the Jersey Shore, and I was like, you know what? I think I got to go get something at Target just to add like another 45 minutes to my drive, just because I was like really enticed by the mystery that I was listening to. Speaking of mysteries, who is Roy? Why does Roy do the things he does? We don't get these answers in this movie, and we'll never get them. But
Did
next
what
week,
could
his
our
dead
next
son
movie
know
be?
that Roy was his dad? Why did he have that really recent picture of Roy? It was literally Roy before he ate a candy bar and then got hacked up. I mean, Roy's son.
Joey was the one that got hacked up. Roy's the
What's
one
the
that
most
kills.
recent picture of your parent that you have easily accessible to you? Like,
All right. Well, we'll be back next week with even more horror movie night goodness.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.